Trees are the gentle giants of our planet, plants whose contribution to the development of life and our civilization is difficult to overestimate. Without them, we would not survive. However, trees have remarkable abilities to adapt to various conditions. Baobabs are incredible trees that live for thousands of years and are capable of surviving thanks to their unique ability to store hundreds of thousands of liters of water inside their spongy wood. This ability serves as a boon for these plants, as they become a magnet for various animals that chew their wood to quench their thirst. Baobabs have an incredible ability to self-heal by regrowing new bark. This allows them to survive for many centuries. People on the island of Madagascar quickly realized how to use the magical properties of the tree. Thanks to this, Baobabs became the reason why life for people in these arid places became possible. In Africa, until recently, inside one very old baobab tree, there was a bar that attracted many tourists. Every year, over 7,000 people came to see this unusual establishment. By the way, this baobab is one of the largest in the world, or at least it was in 200. The old tree collapsed, destroying the bar. There are even legends that hollow baobabs were used as temporary prisons on the way to the city, where slaves could be temporarily held, as baobabs often grow where the slave trade route used to pass. Thanks to their ability to survive in deserts, baobabs have provided a living for many species of animals and tens of thousands of people. But there are trees that choose a different survival strategy in the desert than the baobab. They lack wide trunks storing vast amounts of water. Instead, there's something else here in the desert, on the distant Socotra Island in the Arabian Sea. The dry season is harsh, yet this strange tree can endure it. The key to its survival in the desert lies in its unusual form. The dragon's blood tree. These trees grow atop hills where the soil is very poor. But there's a decent substitute here. Rare morning dew covers the ground, condensing into drops on the large, dense leaves. The liquid trickles down to the middle of the trunk, and then the water. Here, water is too precious to lose a single drop, but the drops that fall to the ground aren't lost completely. The sprawling, dense crown of the tree acts like an umbrella. Its shade is enough to allow water to seep into the sand. In addition, the crown also shades the roots, lying almost at the surface. In this desert, another tree grows resembling a miniature version of the baobab, the adenium. Its trunk, like the baobabs, stores plenty of water to survive until the rains come. The tree is so resilient that it grows on bare rocks. However, there are deserts where the existence of any trees is impossible. For example, if this desert consists of vast sand dunes, like the Taklamakan in northern China, a constantly changing sandy landscape with extreme temperature fluctuations. Most importantly, there's hardly any rain. People with common sense would say that trees can't survive in such conditions, period. However, nature is ready to argue. Here, directly on the dunes, grows the Euphrates poplar, and it's not alone. They don't just survive here. It's so comfortable for them that some of these trees have been around for over 1,000 years. How they manage to exist in such conditions is remarkable. It's because nature has endowed them with remarkably long roots that collect water and connect neighboring trees into a shared network. So, if one tree gets water, others can share it. Some trees face even harsher conditions than any desert. Before you is an extremely unusual sight. A tree grows in the middle of the sea, defying all the rules of biology. The salty water should have killed it long ago, but for some reason, it doesn't. This mangrove tree blooms peacefully. How is that even possible? This plant has an interesting ability. When the tide begins, the roots of the mangrove tree, covered with wart-like growths and surrounded by pores, capture air. When the water floods the roots again, these growths start to let water into the plants, but filter out 99% of the salts they contain. Residual salt accumulates in a few unnecessary leaves, which turn yellow and then fall off. It's simply a brilliant solution. This superpower of the mangrove tree has led to the emergence of huge mangrove forests right on the ocean shores. It's hard to believe, but this entire forest goes underwater every day during high tide and then dries out during low tide. In these places, ocean water penetrates kilometers inland during high tide. Mangrove trees took millions of years of evolution to adapt to such conditions. No other trees in the world would survive here. Such an unusual forest creates extremely strange things. Before you is a mangrove tree. Its trunk doesn't reach the ground. Instead, it has a network of giant roots that support the tree in soft and muddy soil during high tide. Many fish swim into the forest during high tide, but many of them hesitate to make this journey every time. So during low tide, they do something extraordinary. Inside some fallen roots, there are tunnels made by a special type of marine mollusk. When the water level drops, the fish swim into these openings. The tide continues, and the roots and trunks of the trees end up on dry land, but the fish are safe in the water-filled corridors inside the tree. Yes, there are trees inside which fish live. Just phenomenal. But inside trees, even more interesting things can be found. Almost anywhere on the planet, while walking in nature, you might come across such an unusual sight. These trees are called fire devil. Fires rage directly inside them, and they can burn for several days. Such a phenomenon in nature is quite common, and humans don't contribute to it. It occurs due to natural processes, and the spectacle is simultaneously mesmerizing and frightening. The cause of this phenomenon is a lightning strike that hits a dry and hollow trunk. As a result, the tree starts burning from the inside, while remaining undamaged on the outside for a long time. Inside the hollow trunk, a good draft often forms, and the fire spreads vertically. That's all from me, friends. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.